Hi, you're listening to Screen of the Crime.
I'm Tess.
And I'm Maggie, and this is a podcast where we talk about true crime.
And what would happen if your favorite TV and movie characters committed those crimes. Well, hello again.
Hi.
So, still snowing.
It's always snowing.
It's always snowing
It's
here.
wintertime.
Yes. We're watching some trailers for some old movies, like Return to Witch Mountain. Because Maggie was talking about the new one, because Maggie only likes
The
new
new
movies.
one, it came out like 2000.
Well, no, like, not the old one from
Yeah,
1975.
I was talking about The Rock's best work.
Yeah.
Race to Witch Mountain.
Mm-hmm. And then the trailer for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was under that, so I watched that, and it was just wonderful.
It's great.
Yeah.
Truly.
It is Buffy's mom.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, she's Mae Thompson.
Buffy's mom is in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, Christine Sutherland. Oh, I love her so much.
Wasn't she chosen just because she looks like Buffy?
I don't know. Because she really doesn't.
I heard that some. Yeah.
I think she's just a good actress.
Oh, okay. I'd believe it.
Yeah. But anyways, shout out to her, because literally she's so good in that show, and it's wonderful.
We get it. You really like Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I have some housekeeping. We still have a website. It's still up. And it's lovely. Check it out. It's Screen of the Crime, po.wixsite.com/site. I know it's complicated. The link is in our Facebook bio. So you can just check it out there, which is cool. You can also follow us on all social medias.
Mm-hmm.
We only have 15 Twitter followers, and it'd be really cool to have more. 'Cause that would be nice.
Yeah.
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 Also, we might be thinking about putting out video content. Video content.
Yeah.
For our Patreon supporters. So if you're one of them out there, or if you want to see our faces
Yeah.
on video, go support us.
Yeah, I would say if you support a certain amount of money, then you can unlock different, like, extra content from us. So, in video form, nonetheless.
Yeah. And we can do like an AMA or something, like an Ask Me Anything.
Yeah.
Which would be fun. You'd learn about us.
Yeah, we can be real YouTubers now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
Cool. So,
Cool.
what do we have today?
So, do you like wrestling?
No, not at all. But
Like WrestleMania?
I literally couldn't. I have no interest in it at all.
When I was in elementary school, when I was in elementary school and like middle school, I had this friend named Christina, and her family, but like mostly her little brother, was like super into wrestlers. Like he had like the little plastic figurines, and the only thing I remember from it is the Undertaker, and he would like, cause they had to like get a suitcase or something on a ladder. I don't know. He would like jump off the ladder. It was cool. I guess he's retired now. I think the Undertaker.
Yeah.
But that's all I know about wrestling.
I only know about, like, the fight that happened last year with the Irish guy and the other guy.
I know nothing about that, but that's fine.
It was, like, McGregor versus someone.
Oh.
Everyone was watching it.
There's a guy at my work that's really into wrestling, but I'm just like, yeah, the Undertaker, and he's like, he's retired. And I'm like, oh, okay. Thanks. Anyway, that leads us to my case, which is about Chris Benoit, which I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing correct, but if I'm not, might be pronounced Benoit. Who knows?
Hopefully not.
I'm gonna say Benoit, because that's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
And he was a Canadian pro wrestler. So let's talk a little bit about this man who you've probably never heard of.
Yeah.
During his 22-year career, he worked for numerous promotions, including the World Wrestling Federation / World Wrestling Entertainment, which is the WWF or WWE.
Yeah.
The World Championship Wrestling, Extreme Championship Wrestling, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. He was considered, quote, one of the top 10, maybe even the top 5 of all time greats.
Wow.
He held 22 championships. He was a 2-time world champion and had been a 1-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion and a 1-time World Heavyweight Champion in WWE. And he was booked to win a 3rd world champion at a WWE event on the night of his death.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about it.
All right.
Let's talk about the crimes.
Yes.
The murder. The gory details. On June 22nd, 2007, which is pretty recent, it's like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Chris Benoit, 40 years old, killed his wife, Nancy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. She was killed in the upstairs bedroom. Her limbs were bound and her body was wrapped in a towel. A copy of the Bible was left next to her body. Injuries indicated that Benoit had pressed a knee into her back while pulling a cord around her neck, causing strangulation. Blood was also found under her head, suggesting that she may have tried to fend off Benoit.
Mm-hmm.
Officials said that there was no signs of immediate struggle. Toxicologists found alcohol in her body, but were unable to determine whether it had been present before death or was a decompositional product.
Yeah.
Decomposition also made it difficult to estimate pre-death levels of hydrocodone and alprazolam. Found in her therapeutic levels in her body. In any case, her medical examiner saw no evidence that she was sedated. So I looked up those words I just said.
Yeah.
So hydrocodone is a pain relief drug. So yeah. And then alprazolam is used to treat anxiety and panic disorders. So then Daniel, who was 7 years old, he was Chris's 3rd child and his 2nd son, but it was Nancy's only child, because Chris had been married prior to Nancy and had 2 kids. And then Nancy was also married prior to Chris, but she didn't have any kids. He was found in his bedroom. He was suffocated, and a copy of the Bible was left by his body. I don't know. I mean, I'm not religious, but I don't know how many Bibles are in someone's house normally. You know what I mean? Like 2? I don't know. It seems like a lot of Bibles.
How many was it?
It's only 2, you know?
Yeah.
But like...
I don't know. I mean, I probably have at least...
2.
At least 2, probably more, though.
Does everyone just have their own Bible? I don't know anything. We have a living Bible in my house, and I don't even know if it's different than the Holy Bible.
I don't know either, but I don't know. I mean, like, a lot of times you get them as gifts. Like, if you got, like, for your first communion or, like, confirmation.
Okay.
And then also, like, I needed one for class.
Because you went to a Catholic school.
Yeah, like, for what a religion class, we needed one.
Makes sense.
So, like, you know.
Yeah. Bibles. Daniel had internal injuries to the throat area, showing no bruises.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel's exact time of death is unknown. The reports determined Daniel was sedated with Xanax, which we all know what that is. And if you don't...
Then, what are you doing? Have you ever listened to anyone on SoundCloud?
Okay. And likely unconscious when he was killed. Mm-hmm. Daniel's body had also just started to show signs of decomposition, but was not as far along as his mother's body.
Mm-hmm.
It was alleged that Daniel had Fragile X syndrome, and that this was the cause of the domestic problems in the Benoit family. It was also suggested that the needle marks on Daniel's arm were the result of growth hormones given to him because Benoit and his family considered him undersized due to Fragile X.
Mm-hmm.
Benoit's co-worker and best friend, wrestler Chris Jericho, stated that from his own research on the condition and the symptoms, quote, fit Daniel to a T all across the board.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to those who had publicly stated that they had no knowledge of Daniel having the condition, Jericho said, quote, if Chris had decided that he wanted to keep it to himself, he wouldn't have been able to pry that out of him. Sorry. You wouldn't have been able to pry that out of him with anything.
Mm-hmm.
Despite Chris Jericho's initial statements regarding Daniel, he later stated in his 2011 book, Undisputed, quote, it turned out that Daniel didn't have Fragile X, but at the time it made sense because I was grasping at straws. So the kid never had the syndrome.
Yeah.
But most likely was being pumped full of hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Which is rough. District Attorney Ballard later released a statement saying that the source with access to Daniel's medical files found no mention of any pre-existing mental or physical ailments. Likewise, Daniel Benoit's teacher reported that he was on par with other students and not about to be held back as previously thought. Speaking publicly for the first time in major public interviews on a Talk is Jericho's podcast. In 2016, Nancy's sister, Sandra Tuffolani, who was intimately related with the Benoit family, obviously because it was the sister, unequivocally denied any claims that Daniel had ever had Fragile X or any other such sickness. She also stated claims of the needle track marks on Daniel's arm were preposterous. But I choose to believe they were there.
Huh.
Alright, after the murders.
Yeah.
Because there were two. At about 3:30 p.m. EDT, Eastern Standard. Wait. Eastern.
What is it?
It's our time zone.
Yeah.
On Saturday, June 23rd, fellow wrestler and close friend, Chavo Guerrero, I love these names, received a voicemail message from Benoit's phone stating that he had overslept and missed his flight and would be late for that night's house show in Beaumont, Texas.
Yeah.
Guerrero called Benoit back and found that Benoit sounded tired and groggy, as he confirmed everything that he had said in his voice message. Guerrero who was, quote, concerned about Benoit's tone and demeanor, called him back 12 minutes later. Benoit did not answer the call, and Guerrero left a message asking Benoit to call back. At 3:44 p.m., that is 14 minutes.
Yeah.
14 minutes later, Benoit called Guerrero back, stating that he had not answered the call because he was on the phone with Delta Airlines. Because we're Delta Airlines. Life is a fucking nightmare. Sorry. Changing his flight.
Yeah.
Benoit stated that he had a stressful day due to Nancy and Daniel being sick from food poisoning. Guerrero then replied with, all right, man, if you need to talk, I'm here for you.
Wow.
Benoit ended the conversation by saying, I love you, Chavo.
Wow.
Direct quotes, man. During a 2014 appearance on the same podcast by Chris Jericho, Guerrero said that Benoit sounded off when he talked to him, especially when he said, I love you.
Yeah.
Another co-worker who had often traveled with Benoit called him from outside the Houston airport, and Benoit answered. Benoit told the co-worker that Nancy was vomiting blood and that Daniel was also vomiting. Keep in mind, at this time, they're both dead.
Yeah.
Okay. On Sunday, June 24th, 5 text messages were sent to co-workers between 3:51 a.m. and 3:58 a.m. using both Chris Benoit's and Nancy Benoit's cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
4 of them were the Benoit's address. The 5th said that the family's dogs were in the enclosed pool area, and also noted that the garage side door had been left open. Guerrero and Scott Armstrong were 2 of the recipients of these texts.
Mm-hmm.
During this time, Benoit called and left a voicemail for an unknown friend. Benoit later called the WWE's Talent Relations office, stating that his son was vomiting and that he and Nancy were at the hospital with him. He also stated that he would be taking a later flight into Houston, where he was scheduled to face CM Punk for the vacant ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
Mm-hmm.
But he did not make the live event in Beaumont. So, Chris Benoit's suicide. Chris Benoit, according to District Attorney Ballard and the city sheriff, committed suicide by hanging. Benoit used a weight cord to hang himself by creating a noose from the end of the cord on a pull-down machine from which the bar had been removed. When Benoit released the weights, the move caused his strangulation.
Yeah.
Got it. Ballard said Benoit was found hanging from the pulley cable. On the 2016 talk with Jericho's podcast, Nancy's sister, Sandra Toffolini, clarified some details further. She said that over the weekend after the murders, the search history of Benoit's computer showed he had researched, quote, the quickest and easiest way to break a neck. He had then later used a towel around his neck and attached it to the handle of the machine, which he pulled down using a very heavy weight and let go, breaking his neck instantly.
Mm-hmm.
On Monday, June 25th, 2007, WWE was notified of the text messages sent to Chavo Guerrero and Scott Armstrong. The company asked the Fayette County Sheriff's Department to check on the Benoit family. After discovering the bodies, the police notified WWE around 4:15 p.m., informing them that they had discovered 3 bodies at the Benoit home and that the house was now ruled as a major crime scene. A suicide note was not discovered during the initial investigation, but a note was later discovered in another Bible that had been included in Benoit's possessions that were sent to his first wife. According to the professional wrestling journalist Dave Meltzer, quote, there was a note that was found in a Bible by mother of Chris's 2 children who lived in Canada. The Bible was mixed in with Chris's personal belongings that were shipped to them. Chris Benet's father, Michael Benoit, I've been saying Benoit, Benoit stated, quote, he had a handwritten notion in there saying, I'm preparing to leave this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess was the suicide note.
Yeah.
So here's some motives that are possible.
Mm-hmm.
Benoit was prescribed testosterone as part of the treatment for testosterone replacement therapy, which Mick Devitt said was a common medical practice for people who had used steroids in the past and had suffered testicular damage as a result. So he had used so many steroids while wrestling that he now had to take testosterone.
Yeah.
Because it, like, wrecked him. So don't take steroids, kids.
Yeah.
They will wreck you. Also, they cause chest acne, which isn't fun.
Okay.
Fun fact. So you won't even look hot. Benoit may have been suffering from repeated untreated concussions throughout his wrestling career, ultimately leading to an unstable mental state.
Mm-hmm.
Nowinski was quoted as saying that Benoit was one of the only guys who would take a chair shot to the back of the head, which is stupid. That's the end of the quote. Tests conducted on Benoit's brain by Julian Bales, the head of the neurosurgery at West Virginia University, showed Benoit's brain was so severely damaged it resembled the brain of an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient.
Oh my god.
And he was 40.
Yeah.
And didn't have Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So, brain damage, getting hit in the head's hard. It's bad. It wrecks your life.
Yeah.
Other tests conducted on Benoit's brain tissue revealed several chronic traumatic, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, encephalopathy, which is CTE, and damage to all 4 lobes of the brain and brainstem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nancy Benoit had filed for divorce in 2003, allegedly after domestic abuse from Chris, but had withdrawn it in August of 2003. In February 2008, the Atlantic Journal Constitution reported that Nancy may have suspected her husband of having an affair with a female WWE wrestler, and that they had also argued over a life insurance policy. In an autobiography, The Hardcore Truth, Hardcore Holly, that's her name, speculated that the main influence in Benoit's action was alcohol abuse rather than steroids. Holly and Benoit traveled together on the road during their time together in the WWE, and Holly did not believe steroids played a factor and that Benoit had tended to drink more than he normally would consume when issues with Nancy arose.
Yeah.
Steroids were found in the home, leading some media organizations to hypothesize that a steroid-induced rage may be the cause of Benoit's actions, as some doctors have linked steroid use to uncontrollable anger, among other psychological issues, which include paranoia. The WWE released a press statement challenging the, quote, roid rage claim. One part of the statement reads this. I'm going to just read it. The physical findings announced by authorities indicated deliberation, not rage. The wife's feet and hands were bound, and she was asphyxiated, not beaten to death. By the accounts of the authorities, there were substantial periods of time between the death of the wife and the death of the son, again suggesting deliberate thought, not rage. The presence of the Bible by each is also not an act of rage.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah.
I think it was mainly, like, the brain damage that caused it, rather the rage.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, crazy what he did. Because there was a big amount of time between the killing of his wife and the killing of his son. Not, like, a big amount of time, but, like, there was obvious differences in decomposition of the body.
Yeah.
So, like, there must have been a larger amount of time between them. And it's just, like, she was covered in a towel, so he didn't want to see her face.
Yeah.
And then, like, he drugged his son, so it was just... It's not more of, like, a alcohol-induced thing or anything, either.
Yeah.
Because, like the WWE stated, there's deliberation in it, and the Bible.
So, like, the WWE is trying to, like...
They're saying, because a lot of wrestlers use, like, steroids and stuff, and they were just, like, trying to be like, it wasn't roid rage, guys.
Yeah, like, so they're trying to, kind of like how the NFL covers up, like, the, what's the letter order? C, you know, like, the brain damage that goes with that.
Yeah, I suppose, except, I mean, by saying it, yeah, it's kind of like that, except this was because of brain damage.
Yeah, oh, no, but that's what I mean, like, it's kind of like they don't want their organization to suffer because of
because of what happened.
Even though it is kind of directly correlated.
So I'm going to talk about toxicology results, because words I can't pronounce are fun. It was announced that 3 different drugs were found in Nancy Benoit's system. That's hydrocodone, hydromorphone, and Xanax. All 3 drugs were found to be levels investigators considered normal for therapeutic treatment, as opposed to recreational use or abuse. Alcohol blood level was found at 0.184. Dr. Chris Sperry, that's my last name, the medical examiner, added it was impossible to say whether any of the blood findings was due to ingestion of the alcohol or the post-mortem process. So it's possible she was drinking, but it's also possible she just decomped, you know?
Yeah.
It was also ruled out that Nancy was sedated by Chris before she was murdered. Xanax was found in Daniel Benoit's system. District Attorney Scott Ballard noted that the drugs, that it was not a drug that should be given to a child under normal circumstances.
Yeah.
And it is believed that Daniel was sedated prior to the murder, with Sperry ruling out that Daniel died of a drug overdose. The GBI, however, said in the press conference that it could not perform tests for steroids or human growth hormones on Daniel because of lack of urine. So we'll never know if he was got any growth hormones or steroids. Xanax and hydrocodone were also found in Chris Benoit's system at levels investigators called consistent with therapeutic use. Elevated levels of synthetic anabolic steroid, testosterone cypionate, was found in his urine. Investigators believe that the levels found suggested it had been taken recently, while the synthetic anabolic steroid, testosterone cypionate,
oh my god,
was found in his urine. There was no evidence of GHB, contrary to speculation. Benoit was also tested negative on blood alcohol, so he was not drunk. So I'm going to talk about the aftermath, how Wikipedia put it, but it's like things that happened that may or may not have been caused by Chris Benoit. Mm-hmm. So on July 26th through 27th, 2012, the rap group Insane Clown Posse released a music video for the song called Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
The song and video, however, are not about Benoit himself, but a man's breakdown that's similar to Benoit's. The song and music video, however, does include stock footage and recordings of Chris Benoit before his death. A remix with rapper Ice Cube and Scarface was later released. On December 1st, 2012, Kansas City Chief linebacker Jovan Belcher murdered his girlfriend and then took his own life at the Chiefs' training facility near Arrowhead Stadium. The circumstances surrounding that murder-suicide drew some comparison to Benoit's situation. I think I remember that happening. In March 2013, Murder Magazine produced a front-page article on the Chris Benoit incident, launching further questions. In July 2013 interview, Nancy Benoit's sister, Sandra Toffolini, said she believed a blackout caused him to murder her sister. She stated that the medical examiner who examined Benoit's body stated he had only 10 more months to live due to an enlarged heart. Sandra Toffolini also stated that Benoit was contemplating retirement and opening a wrestling school, but he decided to continue due to being in one of the main events at the Vengeance for the ECW Championship, which is what was in Texas. Mm-hmm. A biopic. We talked about this word, and I still did it wrong.
Yeah.
Titled Crossface is being developed, which will be based on Matthew Randazzo's book Ring of Hell, the story of Chris Benoit and the fall of the pro wrestling industry. It shows Benoit from his early days being trained by the Hart family to his rise with ECW, WCW, and WWE, to the death of his wife and son and his own suicide. Mm-hmm. The movie was originally announced in 2011 with plans to begin filming in 2012. However, that was delayed. It's not out yet. In light of further reports on CTE, where numerous WWE wrestlers were diagnosed post-mortem with CTE, which is the head injury thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it.
Wow. That was
my long story.
Yeah.
Lots of words.
Oh boy. Well. Yeah, people just should not do anything like wrestling. Like, what's the point?
Isn't it like fake?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're still getting hit. But from what I understand, it's all planned. Like, who's gonna win, who's gonna lose is all planned.
Yeah. So it's like, why? Like, just stop it, everyone.
Yeah. It, like, ruins your life, man. Sports ruin your life.
Yeah.
If you learned anything from this podcast, it's don't do sports.
Yeah. Alright. Well, is there anything before I start?
Not that I know of.
Okay, cool. Alright. So, let me get back to where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so, as I was saying before, in the beginning of this episode, I was talking about it, but Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
I feel like the weird thing about this comparison is, like, the main person, which would be, like, the dad, is so, like, extremely different.
Yeah.
Like, Rick Moranis is, like, not a pro wrestler type at all.
He's a nerd.
Yeah. But, like, I still think, like, the idea of, like, sort of, like, drugs and, like, things like that being involved, it's, like, if he's, like, some, like, scientist, then it's, like, you know.
Uh-huh.
So, yes, murder. Yeah, so he has, I think, like, 2 or 3 kids.
Yes.
Yeah, like 2 or 3. So there's all of them and then the wife. And the wife went first, correct? Yes.
Yeah, Nancy was killed first.
Yeah.
Yes, he has 2 kids.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it would be like he would be testing out, because I know he's like trying to get this, like, testing out his, like, machine that shrinks things in the movie. So I think it would be like something similar to that, like a shrinking thing.
Okay.
But he would be testing out, like, on people, kind of like purposefully.
Ooh.
It would kind of be like a more mad scientist kind of twist on it, where he's like kind of just like gone crazy for some reason.
Yeah.
Like he's not like, he's obviously not wrestling, but like I think he would just be taking like a lot of drugs to like enhance, like instead of like steroids, like taking
It
like,
would be like brain steroids.
yeah, I mean I'd say like Adderall, but like I don't think that would have that type of effect.
No, it wouldn't.
But like
You're right.
if there's something out there like that, brain steroids.
If you know any brain steroids,
Yeah.
email screenofthecrimepodcast@gmail.com because we
Let us
would
know.
like to know.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think he'd be kind of like going crazy off of that and like lack of sleep. But he'd get to the point where he'd say, I need to test this out, and he'd like just grab his wife and then shrink her.
Uh-huh.
And like, I don't know why, but I think like it would just be one of those things where it's like he shrinks her and then he just has this like weird like, you're tiny now, so I can just like have all control over you.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he would just like, you know, I don't know how, like he wouldn't step on her, but like,
Yeah.
just like something. Drop her from like,
High
have her
up.
hand
Ooh.
just like drop her.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
think,
heinous.
yeah, like something like that. So like then the wife's there, and she's like, you know, dead
Yes.
first. So now he has to like somehow get all the kids up there and like have them stand in front of it without it being sus.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would account for like the time difference between like the one versus the other. It's like
Oh, yeah.
the wife goes first and he's like, oh, it works.
Now I have to figure out what to do with my kids.
Yeah.
How to do it.
Yes. And again, he could like blame it on like this worked, but then I don't know where they are because they all shrunk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he could like easily prove it by like, you know, shrinking something not human.
Yeah, like the apple or whatever.
Yeah, or like the couch. So, yeah, he shrinks the kids and like kind of has like, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like there would be like some like fucked up thing, like put them in like an ant, like
An ant
farm or
farm?
something.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ooh. Bring back my aunt. I love that aunt
yeah,
in that movie.
yeah,
They made friends with it, and then it sacrifices itself at the end.
yeah,
It's such a good plot.
yeah. So like the kids, you know, they'd be trying their best, but like in the ant farm, just running away from ants that want to eat them.
Yeah.
And so that would kind of be like one of those things where like they eventually like they would get away from the ants, but like they don't have any form of sustenance, so they would just like die
Yeah.
because like there's no food in there.
That seems mean.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know, like, Chris Benoit, like, drugged his kids so he didn't have to, like, die conscious.
I know,
Yeah.
but like it's still like manipulating them
That's true, you're right. Yeah.
because like in the way it's like drugging them, like shrinking them, kind of like almost dehumanizes them in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of similar.
Yeah.
And then again, like if he puts them into something, it's like he's not the one killing them.
You're right.
It's like more of a like
It's they die on their own. It's kind of like the Saw movies when, like, I've been watching the Saw movies recently.
yeah.
But the guy who kills everyone in the Saw movies, he's like, I'm not a murderer because they're letting themselves die, you know?
Yeah.
Even though he's putting them in the situation where
Yeah.
they have to, like, saw off their own foot to, like, survive.
Yeah.
So, like, when they die, it's like, he's like, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
They did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like he's not like he's trying to like ease it into the killing, but like it's still the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah. So he would kill all the people, and I think like it would be kind of, I don't know, like the friend situation, it's like he's just trying to like act normal and stuff. Like the police come, they're like, oh, like there's been like missing like persons reports and stuff like that. And he would just like try and play it off like cool, but like I think eventually it would be like obvious what happened. Like maybe like the shrinking would like wear off or something. You know?
Oh.
Like the shrinking would like wear off, and then like
yeah,
he
they get
has
bigger.
bodies to actually deal with now.
Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. So like the police find them and they're like trying to explain what happened. And he blames it on like the shrinking process.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, but there's obvious like trauma to them where it's like that doesn't make sense. you know?
Yeah, like, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like, if he had the wife, it's like, if she shrunk, she
It
wouldn't...
would be like she fell from, like, a really high place, but she's, like, in the attic, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And, like, the kids, like, why would they, like, have, like, symptoms of, like, sort of, like, malnutrition and stuff like that, and, like, starving, where it's, like...
If they were in the house,
yeah. So that's kind of, like, my thoughts on that, where it's, like, you know, it doesn't add up. But eventually he would, you know, just go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, mad scientist style.
He'd, like, shrink himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. That's kind of... My story was kind of depressing. Sorry about that. I got depressed just reading it. Yeah, let's talk about a lighter topic. I've been meaning to... Okay, so... This has nothing to do with anything.
Okay.
Just wanted to talk to you about it. When I was in Maine, me and my aunt, we watched this TV show called Hotel Beau Séjour, which is I think it's a Danish film or something.
Yeah.
It's not a film, it's a show.
Uh-huh.
This is just a recommendation. It's about this girl who dies, but, like, her ghost is there.
Yeah.
It's very good. You should watch it. I'm pointing to the microphone right now. But I recommend it to my mom, but I know she'll never watch it. Sorry, Mom. So other people should watch it, and it's good. And I was just trying to get off the sad topics.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's kind of funny. It's dubbed. It's on Netflix, so that's easy.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and it's got a happy ending.
That's fun.
So, kind of. That's all I have to say.
Nice. All right.
Yes.
Well, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Screen the Crime for most of them. And then go to check out our website. It's on our Facebook page. You can find the link there. And support us on Patreon. Coldier, our one Patreon supporter.
We love you, Coldier.
Yes. And then also another perk that can be added on Patreon is video content. So if you want to support us on Patreon, you can unlock us doing fun things, but on video. So kind of like a little mini YouTube channel.
It's this, but on video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.